pull up I'm just going to pull up the agenda here. May 17th. Agenda. Yeah. Okay, call to order the State Board of Landscape Architects May 17th, 2022 meeting at 9:39 a.m. Board members present, myself, Mark Aragoni, Phil Barlow, Ann Penniman. Absent, maybe joining us later, Dominic Saltruda. Okay, we all got the meeting minutes of February 15th. Are there any comments on those meeting minutes?
Nope.
Phil?
No.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Phil?
Excuse me a minute.
Thank you. Okay, 2, comments or concerns of any person present today? Bob, I don't believe we have anybody online. Is there anybody in the waiting room or?
No, just checking. We do not, Mark.
Okay, moving on. Item 3, DCP Investigation Division Complaint Status Report. Bob did send this out to us, but I would like a explanation on it. I don't know, did everybody have a chance to open that up? It's sort of an Excel document.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just got that this morning. I got an email from our investigator. She's not able to attend the meeting, but she did say that there were no new complaints, and there was just one item that's been on the report that's still with legal. That's what she told me in the report. There's no new complaints.
And we don't get any detailed information because it's not in our purview to make any comment on it at this point.
Right. It's with the department. It's with our legal department, and when they get back to us, then or through Janita, then we'll get back to you.
Right.
But I apologize. I just got the report this morning when I logged on, so Janita is not able to attend the meeting. She's away today.
Gotcha.
But there were no new complaints. That's that she wanted to make sure that there was no new complaints received, and one pending with the legal department.
Okay. All right, so we will just wait and see how that one turns out, but there's nothing we need to do as a board to act on it at this moment. So item 4, old business, 4A, our coordination with the University of Connecticut. I know we tried to get on in the fall or in the spring before graduation, but it was determined that we should just try and do a better planning over the summer for the fall. And I believe Dominic took ownership of that one. So I think unless Phil, you have anything to add, or Ann, we don't have to discuss that if we don't have Dom on it. But I think the plan is to get in front of a class or the junior and senior class in the fall.
Let me be, Mark, let me just be a curmudgeon here. We've had plenty of opportunities that have come and gone. I just hate to keep repeating things when there seems to be no interest. So I might even drop that. Suggest that we drop it.
Yeah, I don't want to drop it. I know I completely admit that getting the initial presentation that I had promised to get took longer than I wanted to do. But now that we have a canned presentation, and just I think last meeting, I think Dominic really took ownership of it. Maybe the meeting before. I really don't want to take it off of the agenda. I know it just seems like it keeps recurring, and I agree with you that we keep talking about it and not doing it, but I do think it's important. And we got really close last fall with your help, or in the spring. I just think it's important, and we just need to do it. We've made some progress.
Well, I understand that. And again, I'm being a curmudgeon, but we've had plenty of opportunities. So it says to me that it's not a priority of anybody on the board, and just not going to happen. But anyway, there's
So-
plenty of
so-
opportunities if anybody wants to do it.
I think if you've got that canned presentation and there's not a lot of effort on Mark's or Dom's part to pull together the presentation, it seems that you could take the opportunity in the early fall when there's not as much crunch for deadlines and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And people are excited about their majors, you know, and you really jump in there early while their schedule's more open.
Well, again, the problem never was scheduling it with UConn. The problem was getting somebody from the board to make the presentation.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see.
Yep.
yeah, no, and Phil's not right, and I think it's not curmudgeon. I think it's frustration is what it is. It's just,
There
it's
you go.
frustrating.
There you
And,
go.
you know, I definitely am not hiding behind it. I brought it up, I think I brought it up years ago. And we just haven't done it yet. I don't want to remove it off there. I don't know if is it get lost because it doesn't take precedence because it's under old business. Do we make it a new item? I think I will follow up with Dom and see if he has an interest. If he doesn't have an interest, then I think it's either going to fall on, you know, myself again or you, Phil, and then we're going to really have to make a decision to say, all right, I guess it's just not going to happen, but I'm not willing to let it go yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right. 4B, continuation, discussion regarding the restriction of landscape architecture practiced by local and state agencies. So this is another ongoing one. Bob, I think did you send me an email regarding this?
No, I sent you an email. It was a separate issue, Mark. And I apologize for the tardiness on that also, but it was a follow-up on the corporate practice for the landscape architect.
Oh, I got
and
you.
Saban. Yeah.
I got you. All right, so back to this one. We have gotten some traction on this one, and I think historically we've gotten some traction at different levels of the state. Recently, within the last, I don't know, I would say 2 months, I did have a quick back and forth with, was it Raul? I think it's Raul.
Yes, it was Raul.
Who dealt with the issue when Phil, our board member, brought up like that issue. We did get other people involved. It then circled back to Raul, who then pushed it to a different person during my last correspondence with him. And then I did not push it any further because I feel like I'm stuck in a circular no answer. I did have a conversation with a couple other states that have similar problems, and they were able to target the 3 or 4 municipalities or cities and request they actually had a Zoom meeting and request, rather than putting out a general reissuing of the infamous Vince McDermott letter that has not gotten any traction with the 4 or 5, maybe it's not even 4 or 5, maybe it's only 3 municipalities that continually have this problem. But rather than broadcasting and hoping it sticks, actually pushing the issue with the specific 3 or 4 municipalities that we know are having an issue with the landscape architectural stamp. So it would be municipalities and potentially a government agency with the DOT. And that may be a better route to go, but I still would hesitate to do it without some type of DCP attorney representation. And I haven't gotten the comfort level that we have that support. So that's sort of where we stand. I don't know if anybody has any opinion. Frustration.
More frustration, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the board. We've had people come and complain
Yeah.
To the board. And I feel like it's not that we haven't done anything. I just don't know, the minute we push it further, we have to be willing to accept potential consequences of pushing it further. But at this point, it's not a global issue. I think it's a very specific to a few municipalities and potentially the Department of Transportation.
Potentially?
No, it is. Well, again, I'm speaking like an attorney.
Yes, you are. What happened?
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, and permission to speak freely
Yeah.
requested. This is another one that we just beat our heads against the wall. I mean, we actually have no stick whatsoever, unfortunately. We've been told, and it's true, the only way to resolve it is for someone to bring a lawsuit against the municipality for not accepting their stamp. So, I mean, maybe that's why people don't stick on the board. It's very frustrating that I don't know that we have any power. I don't know.
So is it, I mean, do we go about it a different way and invite? I think we stay out of the DOT at the moment and we stay municipal level for this conversation. Do we just invite them to have a conversation and figure out what the issues are, and potentially a conversation with the State Board of Landscape Architects explaining what it is and what we actually are legally authorized to do and stamp?
Yeah, well, that's just something else. Yeah, it's something else that takes time and effort on our part.
True.
I don't know that people have that time and effort. I mean, Stanford's a great example. Susan Kiskin, every time we submit a plan, which isn't a lot, it's once every couple of years, every time it comes back that it needs to be stamped by an engineer, and every time I go through a process, it's several emails, phone conversations, et cetera, long, and eventually she says, oh, okay, you're right. So, what can be done about that? I don't know.
Well, at least she says, okay, you're right, because I'm worried about the ones who just say, no, thank you.
Well, again, she says, yeah, you're right, after much time is expended and frustration is expended, and plans get delayed and being approved, which is probably the biggest thing. So I don't know. I mean, your point's a good one. We did, who was it? Me, Eris, and Peter, I think it was, a few years ago, took a traveling show to we took it to one board anyway, and we got a good reception. They were interested in hearing from people, but it'd be hard to get several different municipalities in the same room, so that almost has to be a one-of shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
do we take advantage? Do we take advantage of the virtual meeting that everybody's accustomed to now? Because there wouldn't be an excuse to travel. There wouldn't be an excuse to do anything like that. We can invite, even if they decline, it's another thing to say, well, we tried. But to your point, Phil, it comes down to time and somebody wanting to do it.
Or maybe it's something we just send to them. If we had a canned presentation, when that happens, we just send it to them and say, take a look at this and tell me what you think. Or, this explains the requirements of our license.
So if we were to actually move on this a little bit in order to just stop regurgitating item 4B, I think we need to understand a simple list of the towns and cities, municipalities that we believe have an issue with landscape architectural stamps. And that might be pretty simple for us to put together. And that might get us moving a little bit with the potential of requesting a meeting. Do we actually know who they are? I think we probably do.
Is that something that can be developed after this meeting? Like,
I think so. Yeah, via an email.
With an email thread?
Yeah, back and forth. Bob,
Okay.
do you have any record of some of these towns historically?
I don't know, Mark. I'd have to check my folder to see. I have a,
Because I think it was like, I mean, Stanford was one that Phil brought up, but I believe it was like the Ridgefield, the Darien. I think it was something down in that area. But I believe that if we put our heads together, you know, and spend not an exorbitant amount of time, we can probably just throw an email back out to everybody saying, oh, I think it was this town. Oh, I think it might have been this town. But I agree with Ann, we don't have to do it during this meeting.
I will check too to see if I come up with any information or any past documentation
Okay.
regarding this issue. It seems to me Richfield rings a
Yeah.
bell, Mark,
Yeah.
but okay.
So I think we can maybe adjust 4B a little bit and say that we're gonna try to move on this one by finding a list or putting together, compiling a list of potential cities and towns that may benefit from a little bit information regarding what the statutes and laws are and what landscape architects do. And just leave it at that at this moment.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Okay, and then moving on to 4C, this is our live attendance requirement for CEUs. We've always looked at this as a temporary. I think it's probably going to become more permanent at some point. I don't have a problem. We've been sort of addressing it on a meeting by meeting basis and just approving it as a board, just saying, yep, we're going to still continue to accept the recorded CEUs.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yep.
So Bob, we're just going to keep this as we're accepting the pre-recorded.
Yes,
Okay.
that's been my response. Occasionally I'll get an email, you know, with a question regarding that, and I've said, you know, the board, in light of with the pandemic and so forth, the live requirement is waived. They certainly could, but the more important issue is that the credits are still required.
Correct.
What's being waived is not the credit. What's being waived is the fact that they have to be earned live. So I just want to.
That is the only thing. Yeah, it's the only thing.
I always make that right. I just want to make that clear to everyone. But I've gotten a few inquiries and I've emailed back, so that will continue with that then.
Okay. Item 4D. I think we talked about it a little bit before the meeting, but it appears that we have a public member that has been notified that they've been approved to be a board member, but the board has not been notified that that public member has been approved. So I think what we're going to do is I will send an email to the person. Do you have that name so we can get it in the record?
I do. Hang on. Let me just make sure.
And just request formal
Yep.
notification.
Hold on one second.
Phil, do you know when he got notified?
It's been a couple weeks. It's been a while. Let me, I'll reach out to him and. maybe
Yeah,
we can-
that's very interesting that.
Mark, it's Aaron Walsh. WALSH.
Is Aaron R?
ERIN
Okay.
Walsh, WALSH, and I can give you her email while I'm looking at it right now too. I'll email it to you, but
Okay.
her email is Erin, ERIN .Walsh, WALSH @ct.gov. Erin.E.Walsh @ct.gov.
Okay, and I will just shoot her an email requesting, you know, formal notification if there has been a public member assigned to the board, and then I will also inquire about any other applications for either public members, because we still have vacancies for public members and professional members, just to see where we stand if there's any sitting on file, which I believe there are. Okay. 5, new business. This is the, Bob, you had mentioned this one, 5A, you got an email regarding continuing education.
From Celine Weber, yeah.
The new reporting deadline, which I think did cause some confusion. The big change was that the attestation of having all your CEUs completed is now, and this is statewide for all registered professions, professional affiliations, is 3 months prior to the actual date, right? We moved it up 3 months.
Right. What happened, correct, Mark, what happened was it was not just for the Landscape Architects Board, but for all the boards, virtually all the boards and commissions with the department. The continuing education deadline has been moved up to 3 months prior to the expiration date. So with Landscape Architects, it happens to be April 30th versus when it was coincident with the license cycle on July 31st. So what happened was this biennium, the licensee got 3 months less time. You know, going forward now, the new continuing education period began on May 1st and will conclude on April 30th of 2024. You know, the license continues to renew annually. The continuing education is every even numbered biennium. So so now we're back on, you know, starting in May, they're going to have full 2 years. It's just going to go from May to, you know, it's going to be 3 months before the license.
Right. So the question that Ms. Weber had was, and I will paraphrase, wait a minute, can I at least have this year, because this is a new requirement,
Right.
can I at least have basically the full time, these 3 months to complete my CEUs in case I'm audited? And my opinion is, well, this is the first year. This did kind of get sprung on licensees. So as long as you have your CEUs done within your 2-year period in 2022, I really don't have an issue with it. But starting that following 2-year biennium, you should have them done
Right.
when it's not a surprise anymore after in 2024. This did come as kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
It wasn't broadcast very well. I don't even think this board talked about it at our last meeting.
It wasn't, and you know, again, I'm with the department. Obviously, I'm not with the board, but that was my opinion, Mark.
Yeah.
I think, you know, now that if the board agrees, I mean, you know, we could tell her that, you know, you have till July 31st, but you also have to keep in mind that the new accrual period for the next cycle began on May 1st.
Yes.
So
And I think I agree with you.
3-month overlap.
Yeah, I don't know if this board can actually stay on the record that you have until July 31st to do your CEUs.
Right.
I think this board could probably say in correspondence from you to these people who ask questions, I think they can say, do your best to get them in, because potential auditing will begin after July
Right.
31st of 2022. I don't think we go as far as saying, oh, it's okay, don't worry about getting it done. Because that's kind of going.
If you tell one person, but you don't tell everybody, I think that would open up a can of worms.
Yeah, so I think we just say that, you know, auditing will begin after July 31st. Is that a true statement? I don't see how it's going to begin before that.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So I think we say that one, and then Bob, if you can just, you know, explain that more importantly, the 2022 to 2024 period begins from May to May, right? Is that what you're saying? Correct. I think that's more important. So I don't know if we can say, yeah, you have till July 31st. I think we just say the auditing will begin after July 31st.
Right.
And then explain that from now on, it's, you know, you actually start accruing them from May. So does that bring up a question that if people have CEUs that they did,
which biennium? Yes, I agree. You know, if for some reason you thought you had till July 31st and you go ahead and you take a course in June, you cannot apply that to two different bienniums.
That's the
Right.
issue that I
Might
see.
have to be made clear to the people.
Right.
To
I
this
think-
woman you're writing.
Yeah, I think we could state that, the board understands the circumstances. The
Mhm.
board, you can have until July 31st to complete the requirements for the current biennium. But keep in mind, like you said earlier, Mark, that the new recording period began on May 1st. And you can't, in essence, double dip. You can't take credit
Yeah.
for one course for both periods.
And I would be,
You can't-
so
Yeah.
we can say that, and I would be fine if somebody had something on May 1st, right? That they sat through an 8-hour CEU course and they
Right.
wanted to use it for the 2020 to 2022 biennium, because they could have signed up for this course 6 months ago. It's just
Right.
really, they just can't use it for the 2020 to 2022 CEU group and the 2022 to 2024. And my question
Correct.
is, who's going to track that?
Exactly.
Right.
I think
Who does?
the
who does
answer
audit?
just has to be get it done. We hope you got it done.
Yeah. I want to stay vague, but who does the auditing, Bob?
Well, the last time we did an audit, it was, I reviewed the submittals. We did a 10% audit, and it was with Vince. We actually went through the hard. Well, I received the submittals, and then I kind of went through them and kind of weeded out ones that I thought were in question in terms of subject matter. And then Vince came in a couple of times, and we spent half a day together in the conference room going over the submittals.
Okay, so to Ann's point,
But you know what, if I may, Mark, real quick, the department is in the process of addressing continuing education department-wide, and there may be a different system in place soon. There may be
okay.
a different approach by the department. There may be a unit or a team put together that's going to be addressing continuing education across the different boards and commissions.
Can
So
we
it
get
may-
the department to answer the question then?
I'm sorry, Ann?
Can we get the department to answer the question of
Yeah.
how things are being audited and what the process
Yeah.
is? And
Yeah.
you could ask them specifically if people fall short in this just finished biennium,
Yeah,
want to catch up and they want to do the right thing. How is the auditing process going to happen?
I'm kind of I don't have an answer for that right now either. I just know that something's in the works because of it's a bigger thing that's going on in terms of continuing education. With
so with that,
Yeah.
what that leads me to believe is a full 10% audit would be difficult if they are going to change things to actually do this period. I don't know. But to answer the questions that we get, I do think we need to arm Bob with the comfort level that we can say, do your best. We understand, we are sympathetic to the change. I would say continue to plan for your 2020 to 2022 CEU period the way you've been planning for it. And if you are audited, it will, we will, whatever. You're not going to lose your CEUs. Let's put it that way. And I think it'll be a case by case basis. If somebody has, 20 of their 24 hours in the month of May for the 2020 to 2022 period, it's going to be hard to tell them that they didn't get them because they could have planned for it. You know what I mean? They could have had those reservations to take those courses or what have you. It's going to be hard to say they don't meet it.
Right. I think during this transition period, I think that the department needs to offer, and the board, I think, would need to understand and offer some leeway because that's a very good point. You may have already committed to continuing education courses, beyond April 30th. What if it's now, the middle of May? What happens?
Yeah,
So
and you just got notified.
Right.
So I would just word it as the board is understanding that this is a transition process, and the main goal will be to have 24 CEUs for each period. you can
Right.
give a little description on the next period, but just give a little
Right.
comfort level. We don't need to add stress to people if they
No,
have the 24 CEUs and it's just a matter of the state saying, oh, well, we're moving it up 3 months.
No, I think-
Because clearly
I think
this, I was gonna say, clearly this person is doing her due diligence and is really
Yes.
concerned.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that already
Yeah,
shows that she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. When I read the letter or email, I totally agree, but I wanted to put it out, it's a board matter, so I wanted to.
So have fun,
But I agree.
have fun putting the meeting minutes together for this topic.
No, you know what, to be honest with you, Mark, I have a pretty good handle on what I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
Because
I do.
It's not gonna compromise the department or the board. It's the truth, This, and
Right.
your point is excellent. If you've committed to continuing education courses, and that were after April 30th, and they just found out about this, 2 months
Okay.
ago. Yeah. I don't think I think it'll be okay.
Okay, I think we beat this one up pretty good, but I'm glad we talked about it. It kind of wasn't fair, actually.
I
Okay.
agree.
5B, applications. This is the least amount I think we've ever had
Mhm.
for written examinations since I've been on the board. We only have 2.
Can you excuse me for one quick minute? I'm just gonna step away for 1 second.
Sure.
Be right back. Thank you.
So did you guys have a chance to look at Indigo
I'm
Lou's?
I'm just looking, she looks like she's good.
And then Catherine Pactor.
That was interesting that she graduated in 2002 and is
Yeah.
finally sitting for her exam nearly 20 years later.
Very interesting. I know. What is the,
Maybe she just decided once and for all to get her license and
yeah, I mean,
because she'd been
her-
working for SLAM
Yeah.
for 15 years.
yeah, very interesting.
Amazing.
You don't see it very often, but
No, hats off to her for
yeah,
making it work.
yeah, definitely.
So I don't see any issues with either one of these.
Bill,
I do
any
not
comment?
I do not either. Can I make a recommendation for approval?
Did we get Bob back yet? That's one
I don't
issue.
think you did, Mark.
So we might as well wait for the motion and the second and the approval until Bob gets back.
So, yeah, I guess we're on hold.
We're on hold.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Bob, ready? We are ready. We have reviewed the 2 applications for written application.
Yep.
For
1 and
Lou and Pactor. And would somebody like to make a motion for approval?
I so move that we approve Lou and Pactor for licensure.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
So Phil, you seconded the motion, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, those are the only 2 we have for written. And then we have reciprocity, which we don't have to make an action via the board, but there are 5 of them.
Mhm.
Those have been approved administratively. And then we have applications for corporate practice,
Mhm.
which there are 3, Fitzgerald and Halliday. Don't know that guy that's responsible in charge. We got to watch out for him.
Just wondering about that.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that guy.
I do. Yeah, I agree.
Haskell Architects and Engineers from Jacksonville, Florida. And that's Walter Bourne.
Oh,
And then RDG, which is Patrick Dunn.
Yeah,
And we, again, yeah, we as a board don't have any actions to take on this one. It's more of an informational.
But
Okay,
they're fully vetted by the department though. I mean, I go through the
Mhm.
application, to make sure that I've gone back and forth on a couple of them, not on these particular ones, but there's been some where, you know, they haven't reported their responsible architect or landscape architect in charge and so forth,
Mhm.
but when they make the agenda, they've been reviewed thoroughly and, you know,
Okay.
they're in order.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, correspondence. Bob, I know we had a couple emails, but I believe we talked about them. With the only one we didn't talk about was we got an email. I had asked a question through Bob regarding one of our previous applicants for licensure and their experience, was under a landscape architect who unfortunately was deceased for a year or two of that experience. And the question was twofold: experience under a licensed landscape architect, and then the actual practice that was operating under as a landscape architect, with the only landscape architect in that company being deceased for a period of time. And the question was brought up to the department legal division, and because I brought the question up as the board chair, I would have to be the filer of a formal complaint. That's how I read the response back, Bob, from Janita. So her recommendation was, if you don't want to go the formal complaint route, because this has sort of been, it's a weird situation, to put it simply, that perhaps the board could request that you send a letter to the applicant, now a licensed professional, inquiring who held the license for the corporation during the time in question. If the board, upon receipt and after they're reviewed, if there were no licensed professionals during that time, the board could vote to refer Mr. Saban and his deceased father's firm for investigation of an unlicensed activity. While I feel very comfortable that I'm glad we found this and discussed it, I don't know how the board feels about pursuing this one, given its unique status. So I have to ask Ann and Phil how they feel about this one.
I'd be in favor of letting it go, not pursuing it.
Okay.
I
Ann?
agree. Yes, I
Okay.
agree. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yep, I'm glad it's part of our meeting minutes, and I'm glad we looked into it. It's the type of thing that we don't have many things to look into because we don't have a lot of complaints. But I agree that this one is not the right one to pursue.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Bob, you got that?
I do.
Okay.
So there's really nothing, there's nothing to correspond with we have not reached out to the licensee, so there's nothing really to follow up on.
No,
This is just a matter of record for the board. Okay.
that's it.
I for what it's worth, I agree with what you're doing too. I think it's,
Okay.
that's just me.
All right. And we have no other persons present today at our meeting, so I don't think we're going to have any comments unless somebody on the board wants to bring something up. Okay. Then at this time, we are at 10:19, and I believe we can adjourn our meeting of May 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All in
Okay.
favor? Aye.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Okay, and Ann, I will start the
Thank you,
the
Phil.
correspondence. with,
Good.
and
If
see
you
how
can,
we,
if you can find a woman to replace
Oh,
me,
I agree.
that would be great.
I agree. And again, we have 2 more public members that we could add if we wanted to. It just
Right.
took forever to get one.
How many professional board members do you need?
4 and 3.